If you struggle with being consistent, this video is for you. I want to give a shout out to one of my subscribers who made a comment saying they were struggling with consistency, and it gave me the idea to make this video. So thank you. So yes, I have struggled with being consistent before. I think a lot of people have. I want to share with you today the things that help me become more consistent. And the first thing I would talk about is get rid of the idea that you need to be motivated to do something. Because motivation kind of comes and goes. It ebbs and flows, and it depends on your emotional state. It depends on like how well you slept, how hungry, if you're hungry or not. Like it just comes and goes. It's very inconsistent. And obviously, if that's inconsistent, it's going to lead to inconsistent behaviors. So we don't want to do that. What we want to rely on instead are habits. I would say habit formation is the key to becoming more consistent. And I'll share with you some like tangible strategies you can do today to become more consistent. First thing is to start ridiculously small. So I would say one great book on the subject, if you really want to like dive super deep, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I would say that's probably the best book on habit formation I've encountered. But hopefully you can you can start today with the things I'm talking about in here. The first thing we want to do is you want to start ridiculously small, because starting any habit is difficult because it creates increased friction in your life. Your brain has to exert more energy, and your brains don't like that. They want to conserve energy. And it's just something you have to do. You have to exert a lot more effort, and that's challenging. So don't try to do multiple things at once. And maybe there's like multiple things you want to start doing. Start with the easiest one because you want to build reps. And if you can learn how to if you can learn how to become consistent in one area, you can apply it to anything because all the principles that we're talking about here apply. I think back to me, like when I was just basically getting my shit together. I talked about this in the last video when I was the proverbial loser living in my grandma's basement. I just started making my bed. That's it. I was 30 at the time. I'd never really made my bed ever. I was just like, what's the fucking point? I'm going to sleep in it tonight. And I don't know. I saw some Navy SEAL motivational YouTube video. It wasn't Jocko. It was like some older commando guy. And he was talking about the importance of making your bed because it kind of sets the standard for the day. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I just started getting consistent in one thing, started making my bed. And there is something to be said on how you start your day. Meaning if you start it kind of disciplined and, doing things that are like conducive to growth, like for me, it was like reading and meditating, it kind of has this positive spiral versus like if you just wake up and just start smoking weed, you're probably not going to do shit that day, or at least I wouldn't. So I started making my bed. I just started getting consistent in that one area. When I started a reading habit, which I've also mentioned, what I did was I just started really small. I think it was like 5 pages. So that's the other thing you want to do when you're starting a new habit to become consistent. Start ridiculously small. I can't tell you, I would say a common theme that I saw with patients I worked with, they want to do too much too soon. I'll say it again. They want to do too much too soon. And I do too when I take on a habit. But consistency is much more important than quantity. I'll say it again because it's super important. Consistency, or how often you do the thing, is much more important than how much of you do. Meaning, it's much better to walk 5 minutes every day versus 35 minutes a week, even though they're the exact same amount of time, because one is a lifestyle and the other one is a fluke. So set the quantity of what you're doing so small that it almost seems silly, but then do it every day. So start small but consistent is the first thing. So whatever it is, if you want to work out, like it's like walking for like 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes is too much, do 1 minute. You can always just scale down. You just have to like start training yourself like a dog. Really. Like we learn the same way as dogs, the same way as rats, right? Conditioning. So you have to condition yourself to do this thing, because after a while, and here's what's going to happen. Your brain's going to bitch. First off, it's going to say like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is going to be hard. It's going to be blah, 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 blah. It's going to bitch. And then, after you do it for a while, it's going to come on board and realize, hey, this is the new norm. Because I look at the mind, it's like a whiny 6-year-old and a wild horse all combined into one. It's going to cry and whine, and you have to reel it in and get control of it. So expect doubt. Doubt is very normal. If you're not having doubts, you're probably not doing something that's like important for you. But going back to training yourself like a dog. So do the thing every day. Like with a dog, like if you teach it how to sit, you tell him sit and you put his butt down. You give it a piece of cheese. Sit, put the butt down, cheese, right? So it becomes conditioned and positively reinforced. And that's how you're going to learn as well. Positive reinforce yourself. Now, this probably might seem silly to some people, but telling yourself, hey, great fucking job after you do the thing, even if you don't mean it. Be like, I used to do this. Like when I was getting over my fear of talking to women I was attracted to, I would go out and no matter what happened, I'd be like, fuck yeah, great job. So, if you want to start making your bed, you make your bed, be like, fuck yeah, great job, me, I did it. So just start positively reinforcing yourself, because that's how really kind of behavior is shaped. And I would say a superpower you want to start developing is talk to yourself like a coach would talk to their players. Like, talk to yourself like you're your own coach. So like, hey, great fucking job, I did it. Okay, here's another thing that I think is really important for habit formation. You want to do it at the same time each day, because then your brain starts to expect to do the thing. And you want to plan in advance when you're going to do the thing. You don't want to leave anything to chance. You don't want to have to rely on your decision-making power, which is related to your willpower, which we talked about why that's shady. Or we talked about motivation, but motivation or willpower, all these things are, they fluctuate. You don't want to have to rely on them. You want to have a system. So let's just say like you're going to start a walking habit. You want to know when you're going to walk and where you're going to walk to and how long you're going to walk for. You want to know what shoes you're going to wear. You're going to know when you're going to do it, all that good stuff. Right? So you don't want anything to chance. And so like, let's say if I was going to start a walk habit, let's just say 7 a.m. I'm walking for 5 minutes. I'm going down this road. I'm going to set a timer for 2.5 minutes. And then, when that goes off, I'm going to walk back. Like super straightforward. And you want to make it idiot proof. Like really, an idiot could do that. It's like, okay, set timer, go walk, come back, done. And notice that it's also quantifiable. Meaning like I know exactly how long I'm going to walk for. And that's another thing that's important. You want to be able to measure what you're doing. And this is kind of related to SMART goals, which I've talked about. Like you just don't want to say, oh, I'm going to start working out more every day. What the fuck does that mean, working out more? That could mean like, I'm going to stand up for 5 minutes, right? You want it measurable, because measurable makes it more difficult for you to bullshit yourself. It's easy to bullshit yourself like, oh, I did more today versus like, oh, I actually walked for 5 minutes. Right? So if it's not measurable, it's not real. So do it at the same time each day. And for me, I'm a big fan of put the worst first. Like do it first thing. This has a couple different added benefits. One is you book the win early on and you feel good for the rest of the day because you accomplished your goal. Whereas, like, at least for me, if I like just put it off, it occupies psychological space in my mind. And I'm like, oh shit, I need to do this thing. I need to do this thing. I need to do this thing. I would say, at least for me, my willpower goes down as the day goes on. I just get more tired. I'm at my peak, cognitively speaking, early in the morning. Like, for example, I'm not going to make a YouTube video at 3 in the afternoon. Like, I'm fucking done. It's, 9:45 right now. And probably later than I wanted to make it because I had some other challenges with the app I was working on. But nonetheless, like I know for me, I need to do it first thing. And I would say, it's easy. It's harder to do it later on in the day, at least for me, because other stuff comes up. Let's say you get stressed out on something really frustrates you. That kind of drains your resources. It makes it more difficult. I think for me though, it's just like, I don't want to do it later in the day because I want to be thinking about it all day. And it's just going to like interfere with my day. So put the worst first. I think I might have gotten this from like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, which is also a great book. But yeah, put the worst first. It's great. Like I did it when I was studying. I did it when I wrote my dissertation. I used to do it when I was like working out. Now I still work out, but I do it after this because this is my most important thing. So put the worst first, but also like the worst meaning the most difficult thing. Which is often the most important thing, right? So this is my most difficult thing, and it's also my most important thing. So I put it first. So put the worst first. And like if you stack that together, right? So you're putting the worst first every day. So let's say like you're going for that 5-minute walk every day at 7 a.m. Boom, boom, boom. You book the win. Hey, great fucking job. Like I feel good after I do this because I met my goal. Like I don't know. Like I'm not that complicated. I don't think I'm any much different from other humans. Like
Setting and achieving goals feels good. And it's a path out of like getting away from being a loser, is setting and achieving goals, because you start to develop confidence in yourself, knowing, oh, if I say I'm going to do that thing, I do it, and that feels good. And that boosts your self-confidence and self-belief and self-worth. Another thing that's important for habit formation is normalizing the difficulty, because it's going to be challenging and you might not meet your goal your first time around. I would say for the majority of the patients I worked with, I would say like 75% struggled to meet at the first swing at the bat, so to speak. And that's normal because it's really difficult. And your mind's going to come up with all these reasons why not to do it, why it won't work. That's also very normal. Let's say you don't meet your goal of walking 5 minutes. Maybe you met it 5 days out of the 7. Okay. So that's a really important kind of crux in the road, because you can take that event and use it to beat yourself up. You can say, oh, I'm a fucking failure, I'm a loser, I'm a piece of shit, nothing's ever gonna change, and you just beat yourself up, right? And that's exactly what we don't want. That's the equivalent of like smacking the dog in the face if it doesn't sit. But remember, you don't do that. You don't hit the dog when it doesn't sit. You reward it when it does sit. So beating yourself up, you actually don't get anything out of your pain. And it's healthy and normal to be upset when you don't meet your goal. That means you care and you want something better for yourself. So congratulations. Use that pain. When you beat yourself up and call yourself a piece of shit, you actually don't get anything out of your emotional pain. However, the other fork in that road is to use it to understand what led up to the failure or what led up to the difficulty. I remember a good quote from my dad: there's no failure, there's only feedback. And I would add on to that, it's only a failure if you just quit. If you learn from your mistakes, which is the other side of the road, right? You ask yourself, okay, what led up to the difficulty? So on that day I didn't walk 5 minutes. Okay, let's just go back in time. Maybe I stayed up late playing video games the night before and I didn't get up on time. Maybe I went out and got fucked up with my friends. I didn't get up on time. Maybe it was just simple and my alarm didn't go off, right? So it's really identifying what led up to the difficulty. Okay, so identifying the problem or what contributed to the problem. And then you're like, okay, now what can I do differently? Maybe I can get 2 alarm clocks. Maybe I'm just not going to go out to the bars with my friends until I get this habit solidified. Which oftentimes, if you give up the thing that's like interfering with your life for an extended period of time while you work on a goal, that other thing becomes less appealing. In this case, going out and partying. So identifying the problem and identifying the solution, that is much better. That is a much better way to use your pain than like just beating yourself up. And I promise you from experience that you will meet your goal if you do that and you don't quit. Meaning, so if you set out to achieve a goal, you run into obstacles, if you problem solve them and identify tangible solutions to overcome them and iterate on them, you will succeed. It's a matter of time. The difficulty is most people just quit. They're like, oh, I didn't walk 5 days, I'm a failure. Fuck it. Right? And most people don't succeed at the first time. Myself included. The first time I took the GRE, I did not do well. And I studied for like a year. And because I wasn't studying like optimally. And I did it again. I got rejected, dozens of times before I met my girlfriend at the time. So, I mean, failure is the price you pay for success. Or the potential of failure. The potential of rejection is the price you pay for success. Right? It's easy not to try, although costly. So again, if you struggle with it, this is normal. Okay? The question is, what do you want to do with that? Do you want to beat yourself up or do you want to learn from it and you go try again? So that's key. Yeah, use your pain. Don't let it use you. Because at any goal worth achieving, you're gonna encounter some difficulty and pain, right? It's easy to fuck a fat girl and work at McDonald's. Okay, it's harder to get a lucrative career. It's harder to start a business. It's harder to, get into a relationship with a high value woman, right? So you actually don't want it easy. You want it difficult because that weeds out the people who aren't willing to work on it. But if you can do this, if you can start on one thing, you're going to build the most one of the most valuable traits you can possibly develop, and that's discipline. And the paradox of discipline is this: you don't get like discipline points until you do something that you know is important for you and you don't want to do at the time. Right? So it's like, I go to the gym regardless of how I feel. I go, I think like 5 days a week. I go. I don't care how I feel. I don't care if it's raining. I'm going to go. And I know I'm going to go because I've been doing it for 20 years. And I've only gotten to that point because I've gone so many times when I didn't want to go. And this is what you're going to develop when you pursue a habit. Because on this, like the walking example that I talked about, there are going to be times when you don't want to walk. There are going to be times when it's raining, right? You're not going to want to go. Your mind's like, well, let's just skip today. Okay, which is essentially breaking a promise to yourself. However, when you're like, you know what, I'm fucking going, right? You get like +5 discipline points. And so as you work on these habits, that's why you start with one to get a couple discipline points, and then you start with the next habit. And over time, you develop and you cultivate this sense of discipline and confidence, knowing that when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And that's a beautiful thing. And I hope this video helps kind of set the framework for how you can start being more consistent in your life. If you run into any challenges with this, feel free to leave a comment and I'll respond. Or if you have any other things you're kind of struggling with right now and you want me to make a video about it, please let me know.